Imagine this. You're sitting in a restaurant. The room is full. A man walks in wearing a suit that probably costs more than most people's monthly salary. At the table beside you, someone places the keys to a brand new luxury car where everyone can see them. Another person checks the newest smartphone every few minutes. Designer watches catch the light. Gold chains. Luxury handbags. Every conversation sounds like a competition. Who has the better vacation? Who bought the newer car? Who closed the biggest deal? Then there's you. A plain black t-shirt. Simple sneakers. No expensive watch. No designer logo. No one looks at you twice. If someone had to guess who the richest person in the room was, they wouldn't choose you. Not even close. But they're wrong. Because while they're trying to look wealthy, you've been quietly becoming wealthy. You don't need their attention. You don't need their approval. You don't need strangers to believe you're successful. Because you already know something they don't. Real wealth is invisible. And that's why the richest person in the room is often the one nobody notices. Here's what almost nobody tells you. Looking rich has become easier than ever. Almost anyone can finance a luxury car. Almost anyone can buy expensive clothes on credit. Almost anyone can post pictures that make life look perfect. Social media has made appearance incredibly cheap and financial freedom incredibly rare. That's why so many people confuse the two. They mistake expensive for successful. They mistake attention for achievement. They mistake consumption for wealth. But those are completely different things. Think about someone you know. Maybe it's a coworker. Every payday, they immediately start spending. Friday night dinners, weekend shopping, monthly subscriptions they barely use, a new phone every year, a car payment that follows them everywhere. The money arrives and almost instantly disappears. Then just before the next paycheck, they start counting the days. Sound familiar? Millions of people live exactly like that. Not because they don't earn enough, but because every raise becomes an excuse to spend more. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it quietly steals years from people's lives. Now imagine someone else, same age, same city, almost the same salary, but every time they earn a little more, they don't rush to upgrade their lifestyle. They upgrade their future. Instead of buying liabilities, they buy investments. Instead of chasing trends, they build skills. Instead of asking, what can I buy? They ask, what can I own that will make me money? At first, nobody notices the difference. In fact, the second person often looks less successful. Their car isn't impressive. Their clothes are simple. They don't post every purchase online. People assume they're struggling. 5 years later, the first person is still making payments. The second person owns assets. 10 years later, one still works because they have to. The other works because they choose to. That's how wealth is built. Not in one dramatic moment, but through thousands of invisible decisions that nobody applauds. Here's something that completely changes the way you think about money. Every purchase costs more than its price tag. Imagine you earn $20 an hour. That $1,000 phone doesn't cost $1,000. It costs 50 hours of your life, more than an entire week of work. That luxury watch, maybe 2 months. That expensive car, maybe several years. Suddenly, you're no longer spending money. You're spending pieces of your life. And that's exactly how wealthy people think. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, is this worth trading part of my life for? One question creates poor decisions. The other creates wealth. The problem is, our world rewards appearances. Drive an expensive car. People assume you're successful. Wear designer clothes. People think you've made it. Post pictures from a luxury vacation. People believe you're living the dream. But nobody sees the credit card bill. Nobody sees the loans. Nobody sees the anxiety. Nobody sees the sleepless nights wondering how everything will be paid. Success is often performed. Wealth is often hidden. And that's a lesson most people learn too late. There's an old saying, money talks, wealth whispers. Think about that. The loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. The loudest person often needs everyone to notice them. The truly confident person doesn't. The same is true with money. If someone constantly needs the world to know they're rich, maybe they're trying to convince themselves first. Real confidence doesn't need an audience. Real wealth doesn't need applause. Look around the next time you're at a coffee shop. You might see someone quietly working on an old laptop. Nothing about them looks extraordinary. But what if they're building a business? What if they own rental properties? What if their investments are growing while they drink coffee? What if they spent the last 10 years learning skills instead of buying status? You'd never know. Because wealth doesn't always announce itself. Here's something most people never think about. The wealthiest people don't buy freedom after becoming rich. They become rich because they bought freedom first. Every time they chose investing over impressing, they bought freedom. Every time they learned a new skill instead of buying something unnecessary, they bought freedom. Every time they delayed gratification, they bought freedom. Small decisions, repeated consistently, until one day, life looks completely different. Imagine losing your job tomorrow. For many people, that thought is terrifying. Bills don't stop. Rent doesn't stop. Car payments don't stop. Debt doesn't stop. Stress takes over almost immediately. Now imagine someone else. Same situation, same company, same layoff. But they've built an emergency fund. Their investments generate income. Their expenses are low. Instead of panic, they have options. That's what wealth really buys. Not luxury, not status, not attention. Options. The freedom to say no. The freedom to leave a toxic workplace. The freedom to spend time with your family. The freedom to take opportunities that others are too afraid to pursue. Freedom has always been the greatest luxury, not because everyone can see it, but because no one can take it away easily. One of the biggest traps in modern life is comparison. Your neighbor buys a bigger house. Suddenly yours feels too small. Your friend buys a luxury SUV. Now your perfectly reliable car doesn't seem exciting anymore. Someone posts pictures from another country. Now your weekend feels boring. Without realizing it, you've entered a race that never ends. Because there will always be someone with more. A bigger house, a faster car, a more expensive watch, a better vacation. If your definition of success depends on having more than everyone else, you'll spend your entire life chasing something you'll never catch. The people who build lasting wealth understand a different game. They don't compete with strangers. They compete with the person they were yesterday. Did I save more? Did I invest more? Did I become more disciplined? Did I increase my knowledge? Did I improve my future? That's a competition you can actually win. And eventually, those small victories become extraordinary results. One day, you'll walk into another restaurant. The room will look exactly the same. Luxury watches, designer clothes, expensive cars parked outside, people trying to impress people they barely know. You'll sit quietly. No need to prove anything. No need to explain yourself. No need to chase attention. Because you'll understand something most people never do. Being rich isn't about looking successful. It's about living without fear. It's about knowing one unexpected bill won't destroy your future. It's about sleeping peacefully because your money works for you. It's about owning your time instead of selling every hour just to survive. The richest person in the room isn't always the loudest, isn't always the best dressed, isn't always the one showing off. Sometimes they're the quiet one, the one everyone underestimated, the one nobody noticed. And that's exactly the way they like it. Because true wealth was never meant to impress strangers. It was meant to buy something far more valuable. A life where your decisions are driven by purpose, not by pressure, by freedom, not by appearances. And if you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Anyone can spend money. Anyone can pretend. Anyone can look rich for a day. But building real wealth, the kind that gives you peace, the kind that gives you choices, the kind that changes your family's future, that happens quietly, one disciplined decision at a time. And one day, without anyone realizing it, you'll become the richest person in the room. And nobody will know